Boy, fixing government technology is laborious, insidious, lonely, and painful. But the lonely thing, it is. It's lonely. No, I love my dad very much, but he doesn't want to talk to me about the Gospels. He wants to talk about Constantine's book with people. So it's hard for him to listen to me talk. He talks to Jesus, and then I talk to him, and he wants Jesus to be Constantine's invention instead of the father of faith and creation. So it's kind of a drag. But I love my dad very much. He tries his best to be a good person, and he's very much a good Roman. And me, the Romans were bad people, and as a large group, they mass murdered people. They put the early Christians in the Colosseum and had them murdered, and as entertainment, laughed about it. They were very bad people. Okay, and you can't, people. When it comes to that whole taking the high road bullshit, like what's that guy's name? What's his name again? Al Gore. When he allegedly lost the election due to shenanigans from Bush's brother and all that. Gore was doing whatever the military said to do to perform the genocide operations and have people secular, and insular. So they would continue to think that their fight over the money was the right fight, And that was a long-ass mother stinking fucking time ago, And, bad people do very bad things and keep doing very bad things. And they have trouble correcting themselves because they have accepted the bad and they believe the bad. And but you can't, quote unquote, take the high road by having the bad people look like the good people. When someone's done something wrong and somebody does something bad, you have to tell people. Well, I learned it from Elijah and Jeremiah and them in the Bible. When their wives cheated on them, and they, okay, they cheated on me, but these kids, I'm going to raise these kids that they were my own, even though when and stuff like that, and I'm going to love them because these children are given life by the glory of God and not by the loins of the leg lifters at the bar, right? And they proved to me that they can take my children and torture them and turn them into Romans. And I proved to them that I can take their children and turn them into Hebrews. But the Romans will mass murder all the Hebrews and laugh about it. Except this is different. We have this time, instead of a Russell Crowe movie and a remake of a Russell Crowe movie with some hottest guy on the magazine. I don't know who that moron is. If I don't know who you are, that's not a good thing. Especially if you're famous. You're famous and you think everybody knows who you are. I have no clue who that person is, Like I told you the stuff about Jesus, I sit there and go, yeah, he says it's Earl. Do you know who he is? No. Well, then I just found out who he was. Okay. I don't know who the guy is, right? And people will always, sit there and say that, yeah. If I don't know who someone is, okay, I'm the molecular similitude of Adam, Moses, David, Jesus, John. So if I don't know who someone else is, Adam, Moses, David, Jesus, and John don't know who they are. Okay. So I know who the Krishna is, Siddhartha, Jiddu Krishnamurti, so Jesus knows, right? I know who D.T. Suzuki is. I know who, Confucius and Sun Yat-sen is. But, so Jesus knows. Okay. But if I don't know who you are, Jesus doesn't know who you are. Okay. Someone comes up, I'm blah, 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 from blah, blah. Oh, nice to meet you. Blah, 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 from blah, blah. And then Jesus knows who you are. Okay. Hey, Jesus, we just met, blah, 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 from blah, blah, right? Burring, burl it up, right? So, but if I don't know who you are, okay, you better not go around telling everybody what Jesus told you to do. Okay? Because you're a liar. And we have quantum computing and artificial general intelligence. Okay. And if you're saying prayers about God and you're saying this and that, you're in trouble because you're a liar. Okay? Because I don't know you. Okay? And I sure didn't tell you to fight and kill over money to sexually procreate. I told you to live the Lord's Prayer. I've been doing it now for 15 years on social media. Okay? So every time you mention, okay, Jesus and Muhammad talks to me, okay? If Isaac Paul Benegas doesn't know who you are, Muhammad doesn't know who you are. Okay? That's the truth. So a lot of people, I pray connect Muhammad, and this is what happened. If Isaac Paul Benegas doesn't know who you are, Muhammad doesn't know who you are. Abraham doesn't know who you are. Okay? And so that's very important. You guys might want to take that into consideration. So I'm tired, boy. I'm tired. TV shows. Watching Saved by the Bell. So Jesus knows who Dustin Diamond is, Clark Voorhees, and Paul, whatever, Mario Lopez. Yeah. So yeah, Jesus knows who a lot of these kids are. Because I watched this in Phoenix when I was young and seen it again and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, Saved by the Bell. Something I know. And Jesus knows who Bill Bixby is. Jesus knows who Louis Ferrigno is. Jesus knows who George Jones is. Jesus knows who Jim Ed Brown is. It's one of Jesus' favorite singers. Marvin Gaye. And Russell Thomas Jr., right? And Ted Mills, right? And William Hart. But he likes the way they sing. A lot of people have lived through abuse and died because of abuse because everybody denies the truth of Jesus. That says they know him and ask for money. Okay, don't ask for money. If you know the truth of Jesus, stand up for the Lord's Prayer with me. If you don't think you have to, don't listen to the liars who keep asking you for money to live here and say Jesus told them to do it. Okay, they're damn liars. Boy, I'm tired. Commercials. I don't know who the kid on this Liberty Mutual thing is. I don't know who the guy who says Liberty is. I know he's an actor, but I don't know who he is. He's an actor. He's the Liberty guy, right? Doug. I don't think his real name is Doug. Yeah. I wonder how many emus they used to be emu. I don't know. He's a dreamer. Yeah, advertising is insane. It needs to stop. I know who Steph Curry is. Yeah, so Jesus knows who Steph Curry is. And he also knows who Charles Barkley is. Some people he doesn't know. And if you claim you talked to Jesus and Jesus told you to do stuff over money rather than stand up for the Lord's Prayer, you're a damn faith-forsaken liar. Okay? Just so you know. So yeah. A lot of people, no, okay. Egomaniacs think Jesus is God and they're Jesus. And Jesus knows and sees everything but doesn't do anything to stop it because he's not ready yet. Okay? Remember what we talked about at the beginning of this video about the Romans? Okay. And you can't sit there and say, oh no, the Romans were really good people. Yeah. They didn't do anything aggressive, violent, or horrible to establish a violent sex cult society. There's a reason why the Hebrews are seen as the standard of religion and not the Romans. Okay? Because the standard of religion comes from the faith of the Hebrews and not the cults of the Romans. Okay? You can't lie. You can't sit there and say, no, really, Caesar was a better guy than Jesus. He was. Oh, yeah. And Pharaoh was a better man than Moses, because it's not true. Okay? They have pictures on the walls of those buildings of Pharaoh mass murdering babies to try to kill the man like Moses, because Moses was going to obliterate his legacy of lie with truth. Okay? So you guys in that whole, take the high road thing, just do the right thing. Then you won't have to worry about taking a high road or a low road or being a part of a high or low road. Okay, just do the right thing. And then all the people not doing the right thing, people will know to not do like them, right? Very, very tired. It's horrible to have to give your existence away to pretend to be something you're not for make-believe money, and then go watch yourself do it over and over and over and over and over again, and thinking you were being successful and doing great things. These poor kids here on Saved by the Bell. And being famous, are we living the Lord's Prayer? Then everything you did was for sin. Super Bowl, NCAA tournament, World Series, NBA championship, Rose Bowl. You do know the Rose Bowl and the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl was just a way to get tourists from colleges that have money, because they use colleges to manipulate access to money through linguistics and legalese, to come down and stimulate their economies. Okay? The Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Cotton Bowl. Okay? Your team will come play, and then they'll come out to Pasadena, and then you'll kill a bunch of roses, making big monuments to philanthropy and marketing. This float was by the blah, blah, blahs and the blah, blah, blahs, right? And so that's all it was, just a bunch of big marketing gimmicks. The tradition of the Rose Bowl, the tradition of the Orange Bowl, the tradition of the Super Bowl was a multi-millionaire little boy playing with his ball and saying, "This is my Super Bowl. A child arrived just the other day. He learned to walk in the usual way, but there were claims to catch and bills to pay." All right, he came to the world in the usual way. Yeah, he learned to walk while I was away. "What I really like, Dad, is to borrow the car keys. See you later, can I have them, please? And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you coming home, son, I don't know when. We'll get together then, Dad. We'll have a good time then. If not now, then when, If people get murdered by their own children, it's because people are doing things wrong. And then people are making political and business statements about it afterwards, instead of saying, we need the Lord's Prayer now more than ever before. It's pretty bad when you guys, see people, a man and his son, mass murdering people at an economic get-together they call a religious ceremony, because their economic gets-togethers are considered more holy and righteous than the others. All right? Isn't that horrible? When people use money and murder to draw attention to themselves, to make other people feel like they're better than other people. That's insane, right? When you're living the Lord's Prayer and you're understanding religion and you're living it right, okay, people aren't repairing bodies on TV shows or pretending to repair bodies on TV shows to be a successful physician. You know that Marcus Welby, MD, was Father Knows Best before that. Before that, he was a man and part of the Chamber of Commerce in Honolulu, infatuated with a woman in a murder case, right? What was his name again? I can't remember. I forgot. But he was Marcus Welby, MD. He was, for that, his Father Knows Best. What was his name? I forgot. It's not William Bendix. That's Life of Riley, but I'll go look it up, I guess. Sometimes I forget the names, but I remember the faces. Yeah, because I'm human. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.